I mean, not fulfilled
Why
yet.
Test
But
some of this with real-life situations, though, as you go along.
yeah.
And that helps you fine-tune your thinking.
No, it does. So that's, I mean, everybody I talk to about the mind. And I explain it theory to them. And it's why I call it theory now instead of voice theory. Because every time when I was talking about voices, they thought that these were just suggestions to the central self. But when I talk about it theory, I'm able to sort of get people to let go of that central thing. And see us more as the constitution rather than as a central component. You hear that?
Yes.
So yeah, I do.
Do
I do what you just asked. You said, why don't you test this with real situations? And I do. I test the model for its understandability and its explanatory power.
Do you take a situation, though, and then apply it to it?
I haven't developed Manalaris, if that's what you're talking about. So the next step, not regarding application but theory, is what I was saying about the map it. So I've done a couple videos where I've taken a person's sort of argument and I've broken it down into the it statements.
So you can take practical world life, serious problems of
Yeah,
the world.
yeah.
Why is there such a disagreement?
Yeah. And that's what I study, if anything, disagreement, yeah.
And Ukraine.
Yeah.
And that you've got these sides like this.
Yeah.
On both those issues.
Yeah.
And these are extremely critical because you could have world wars coming
Yeah.
out of it unless there's some...
Yeah, exactly. So since the application I've always had in mind is Israel and Palestine. So it's timely that that's retaking the center stage.
But then you'd have to, you study the issues yourselves, see what are their views,
Yeah.
what are their views.
Well, can I admit, I imagine doing that at like 40. I'm still, because see, it's easy to move to production and
No,
move
I'm
to.
not talking about production, I'm talking about prototyping and testing.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Even to have the concept, to understand the value of a dialectic and what that could possibly look like, I had to spend a decade just trying to understand what the mind is and developing the metaphor. So the metaphor I finished, it's developing. So I am ready to move into testing for further development of the metaphor and then also of the techniques and stuff, the dialerist techniques and stuff. But what I'm saying is at the point at which we're having this conversation on the timeline, it's shortly before that because it's only recent that the ideas have become clear. So it's really over the next few months. So I want to explain to Cairo and to Satyen it theory. Okay, so to check how the model sort of works as an explanation. And I need to develop what I call a critical recognition test, a self-awareness test, where I ask people, where you have to answer a series of questions, and through these questions, I determine whether you know your mind or not, and whether you have accepted what we've learned about the mind or not. And then I have saved hundreds of Instagram videos, and as soon as I flesh out some semblance of a Manalaris, I'm going to take a video, take their statements, and start doing it. Because that's what been a big frustration in my life, that when I disagree with people, I don't know whether or not I'm crazy, they're crazy, or whether I'm missing what's going on, right? And so once I do this, I have all these videos from Jewish sites and from Palestine sites on that issue. I've got Russia and Ukraine. I've got right and left, homosexuality, trans issues, racism, and just all the sort of arguments that people make. Everything that is meant to be sort of convincing or could be convincing to a human mind. I'm going to break it down and test this stuff. And then the next step is, to test out Dialaris. But, Leo, I asked him, hey, I want to have a standing monthly appointment with you. That was 2 weeks ago. He hasn't responded to me. So, so I don't have a lot of people in my life that I can test these things on or work on, but that's actually what I want to talk to you about, Dad. The book, The Self-Illusion, was written by a Scotsman named Bruce Hood, okay? And boy, he nailed it. It was written in 2012. He nailed it. He still kind of talks about consciousness, or I don't like the way he uses the word, but he nailed the self is an illusion, all this other stuff, that the brain is fragmented, and that most of the unity is an illusion, that the mind is distributed, that we construct these narratives of the self because that's what we need. So, what if I go to Bristol? What if I contact this guy, go to Bristol, and see whether I can't be a research assistant? See whether I can spend 3 months up there to sort of reset my stay in Europe. Are you saying sure or cool?
Oh, yeah. Cool.
That'd be pretty good, right?
Yeah. How are you going to fund it, though?
Fund what?
Doing that.
Doing what?
Being a research assistant.
Well, I would hope that his grant will fund it.
Okay.
But hold on. Are you saying that you would cut me off if I couldn't get paid over there? You would cut me off? You want me to just stay in the van thinking? You don't want me to be in a research lab?
I didn't say that.
All right. Well, if I had an opportunity.
Eventually, we're going to cut you off.
Well, then you cut me off, but I'm not gonna.
Well, I waved at him. You saw me wave at him?
That's okay. I don't need to go to.
He heard the vehicle and he heard what you said. Saw me wave at him.
I'm not going to be doing my
All of those things
theorizing,
happen.
working in his research lab,
You must
and
be
then
pulling the
spending
wrong
the
one.
6 hours of my day though in a
The
job.
wrong end.
Am I? No. I would panhandle. I'll do whatever I need to do.
Now, I'm going to get a beer. Could you get me a beer now?
Yep.
Have you had one of these? What are they like?
They're nice. But Dad, I was getting so excited talking about the future of the work and the stuff that matters. You cut me off now. I don't want it to be an issue. Okay, you're not cutting me off now, but I'm saying I'm never going to re-enter the matrix. Now, if my work gets me attention, and if I am paid for my writing or for my lectures, then, I'll reimburse you guys slowly. But I'm not re-entering the matrix.
Let me just say this. It seems to me, though, I'm not harping on this point, that you have to, everybody, when they come up with a theory, they have to keep checking it in real life situations.
No, but I am checking it.
And refining it.
Yeah, I am checking it.
Have you got a case study then?
Hold on. A case study, hold on.
And what was the result?
Hold on. Because I what's your question?
Have you done a case study where you have results which showed something that validated your theory?
No, because the research has already been done. I'm providing the framework and the metaphor and developing an application for this
That's
stuff.
what I'm saying. That's what
Well, no, but I haven't developed anything to
but
apply.
as you develop it, there's certain things that you can test.
Yeah, and that's the plan.
Okay. Oh, okay. Devise experiments. That's what
Exactly.
the system would be doing. Okay,
Yeah.
so I need to check.
But no, the it theory has already been demonstrated. Everything about the stuff that I've worked on and the stuff that I've developed, a way of explaining, has already been demonstrated.
Who by?
Charles Darwin.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
I can't think of
let
any.
me ask you a question, and maybe I'm not getting it, but what's the practical benefit of this? What's going to be different? Once people
The
start
difference,
thinking?
the difference is critical recognition. Right now, we are minds that have not. So minds take in information and they do things. Okay, a major missing piece from the information that the mind has is a manual. It's not in the genes manual. The mind has no idea what it's doing, what's going on. Over the last 150 years or whatever, we've realized, oh, the mind is the brain. And then over the last...
My question was, though, what's the outcome?
So, well, I'm explaining that. Okay. And because I'm thinking that you can... I'm going to explain it, but you'll also be able to imagine it yourself. Imagine the difference between a mind that knows how a mind functions and a mind that doesn't. So the outcome is that, for instance, governments change voting, the whole voting thing, where you're not allowed to see a bunch of photos of the candidate kissing babies or so on. In fact, where we limit the amount of information. Hiring, it's illegal to be able to see the person's name. Interpersonal stuff, it's as simple as when someone believes something to be true, they say, oh, but I'm a human brain, I have critical recognition, I know that I am the sum of these mechanisms, and many of them are designed to make us feel like this is true.
This is a form of psychotherapy for people.
This is not a form of psychotherapy, it's a single explanation. And then after that, once somebody has an understanding of what the brain is, that they're not souls.
So the idea then this is a counseling technique for someone.
No, it's a single explanation. It's like the explanation of natural selection, except it's a metaphor, it's a framework. I mean, they need to learn it, but no, it's not counseling. It's like taking a psychology class. Except, yeah. It's a thing that will be covered in psychology classes, because right now a lot of psychologists are working on different metaphors, okay? There's system 1, system 2, the rational dog and its intuitive tail, the man and the elephant, the left brain and the right brain. We're all working on these characters.
So the idea then is people make better decisions.
Yeah. So the idea is that people would, once we know that we are minds, we would want to learn about how the mechanisms. We would not take for granted that we follow rational processes to arrive at a conclusion. So then, that's going to hopefully cause a hunger. I think we already have in us a certain programming to want to be smart. And so it's going to cause a hunger for learning the basic biases.
Like training materials for people.
No, the outcome will be a fundamental shift in humanity. We will be the first species to ever have self-awareness.
Okay. I'm talking about more specific, more practical. What is the deliverable on this?
No, but the deliverable is not the end. But along the way, there are stories, there are scripts. The self-awareness test is going to come with a self-awareness manual, a one-page basic explanation of the mind in a way that is applicable with new language. It's going to use some new language, but because our language doesn't really allow us to talk about the mind because it was based on not knowing about the mind. And so you see that in a lot of the books on the self, where they say, watch out. So anyway, no, it's philosophy, Dad. It's someone writing their meditations and people going, oh my gosh, look at this thing we've learned. So it's a fundamental difference in, we're going to be the first.
So that guy that died recently.
Daniel Kahneman, Daniel Dennett.
Now
His dream. Wait, no, I have to tell you. His output, if you had asked him this question, here's what his answer would have been. And I will take this as my answer. He wants to change the kind of conversations we have at the water cooler. He wants humans, when they're talking about each other's decisions and judgments, etc., that they use the terms of cognitive biases in referring to these things, that they say, oh, this was the sunk cost fallacy, oh, cognitive dissonance, halo effect, and so on, so that we're talking more accurately about what's happening and not misrepresenting our psychological activity with, by not talking about the psychological mechanisms. So at the end of every chapter...
So he published papers, and he had a major impact on economics.
Yeah.
Management.
Yeah.
And so on.
Yeah.
So, and then he did tests along the way. He did experiments.
Yeah.
And he didn't just think of everything in his head. He did tests.
Right. And then I read about his test, and I came up with a better metaphor than his and ways to disseminate it. I'm not Daniel Kahneman.
Massive influence on economics, or...
I don't think you're hearing. Okay, it doesn't, first of all, it doesn't have to be. I have a natural instinct to be ambitious. What I'm doing is valuable, even if I'm not going to get a Nobel Prize. So I think we need to slow down a second and remind ourselves of that. And the second thing is, it has an impact on everything. What Daniel Kahneman contributed to economics is what I'm trying to contribute to everything. Economists thought that we were rational, that we made decisions based on rational principles. Daniel Kahneman explained through prospect theory and other things, major examples of how we don't. I do not have my PhD. I will not be doing experiments in a lab, except for maybe if I work with a researcher. Was that your question, whether I'll be doing research in academia? No. Okay. So he did the research. Daniel Dennett, who was I going to say? Michael Shermer, Daniel Kahneman, they did the research. Okay? That research hasn't changed the world. Charles Darwin did the research, and about half of the people believe in evolution. I'm just trying to be someone who is contributing to disseminating that through an understanding of the mind.
Okay, I got it.
So I'm not establishing a fact that nobody else has established. Yeah. There's no fact I am established that nobody else has established. I do, in my videos, talk about facts that nobody knows. Okay? Things that should have rocked the world but didn't. And I come up with ways of understanding. I'm coming up with ways of understanding these things. There's lots of things to discover, and I will leave that to the scientists. I'm a philosopher. My job is to take that information. What does it mean? What do we do with it? Well, how does that answer our questions?
Yeah.
So if that's the question, I've answered the question. What are we? I can tell you. How do I function? I can tell you. And I can give you a way to change how you think. I mean, you in general, I'm talking about. I can give the person a way to change how they perceive their own thoughts, behaviors, interpretations, etc. And that's really important. Now, research has to be done in the efficacy of these explanations. So that's part of what I'm doing. But no, I'm not. I haven't discovered by reading other people's research some.
So when I talk about Ukraine and Palestine, then so you're not in a position to tackle those issues right now.
I don't know. To solve them, no. But I am in a position to apply a complete understanding of the mind to the start of solving them. So here's what that would look like. I have a catalog of a good number of mental errors, okay? I'll be expanding that over the next couple of years to about 700, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the argument points spoken and also the psychological mechanisms indicated by their behavior to see how, and then what you'll be able to have is you say, of course, when you take the in-group, out-group mechanism plus the double discounting effect, right? So double discounting, right? If something is further away in time and in space, then we don't feel as much of a reaction to it, right?
I think you've got enough knowledge that you could look at, say, the Ukraine problem.
Yeah, well, I can.
And you can identify, you've got groupthink, you've got some
And then what would be really good is to look at what people's speech and see because a lot of these mechanisms come out in speech. Yeah. And you say, look, this is evidence of, and you can do a full map it. You can say, these are the things that the person knew and experienced, and here's the processing line for these things to come out. Because if we know the input, and if we know some of the input, and we know the output, the belief, and we know the mechanism that people tend to have, then you can estimate the trajectory of the thing. Yeah. And then it also has major predictive power, of course. And it also major authority power. Oh, of course this person would say that, because these things would act in concert to lead to that conclusion.
Oh, that's they're going to want to be hung over chairs or something. Yeah.
This has to be the best day of my life. You know, when you don't want it, I didn't want my head was over it. I didn't need my dad to be proud of me, to understand my work, to understand that I could be trusted with these projects and these ideas and these declarations, these claims that I make. And then somehow we had a conversation. Maybe you just listened to it. And, you know, of course, I don't know whether you can hear him, but he may have sounded critical, but he was just maybe skeptical. And then to hear him at the end say, well, I think you know enough to start applying it. I thought he thought I didn't know how the mind worked. I thought he thought he knew better than me. Even better than that, at the beginning of the conversation, he said, correct me if I'm wrong. I said, what? He said, correct me if I'm wrong, cognitive biases fall under the umbrella of decision-making. Several of his its regretted that. I said, can you say that again? The second time, he said it without the correct me if I'm wrong part. He said, I'm just saying, cognitive biases fall under the umbrella of decision-making. And I said, what was the other thing? He said, yeah, I said, correct me if what? He said, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just saying. And he was back into declaring. And I said, what do you think about, what if I give you a correction? And he just stares. But he won't do you the courtesy of saying okay. So he stares. But I don't like when I don't get verbal feedback. So I go, can I? He goes, yeah, go on. Okay. Cognitive biases is a term that sometimes refers, and technically maybe can refer to something that falls under the umbrella of decision-making maybe. Actually, not even. Actually, I didn't say this. Here's what I said. The mind is composed of modules. I knew I could keep him listening because that's something he used to say to me a lot. The mind is composed of modules. These modules interact, compete, collaborate, whatever, to produce lots of things to produce behavioral reactions, to produce emotions, to produce decisions, as you said, judgments, interpretations, beliefs, levels of beliefs, etc. Of course, I didn't get it. I see. Okay, yeah, but he was like, all right. Well, I mean, he wasn't like, all right, but that's what we can imagine he was like. And then at the end of the conversation, he says, he says, he says, he's like, yeah, but have you tested this stuff? You know, a scientist needs to test this stuff, blah, blah. And I'm like, slow down, bro. Like, first I've come up with concepts. Now I'm going to come up with techniques based on these concepts. And then, yeah, I'll test the efficacy of those techniques. He kept going back to testing, and that kept basically being my response. And then also I have and am and will continue to test the model, how understandable theory is, and how applicable it is for people, how much they can how much they can the understandability and explain how much it explains for them, and how much they can use concepts from it theory to process, to discuss their own psychology. And then the techniques, the Allerus techniques, monoallerus, diallerus, weallerus. I'm working on constructing those techniques, and then, yeah, trying them. And I'm able by myself to try monallerus, but of course I'll need other people for diallerus and weallerus. Well, no, I won't personally be able to test weallerus. Only a government could really test that. That's not true. You can test it with a group. Okay. In any case, and then I guess the point when things became clear, because it really bothered me a few weeks ago when my dad asked over the phone before he came to visit whether what I'm saying is based on research. And so he kind of said something like that here. And I said, the research has already been done. Theory's already been demonstrated. Those words haven't been used. And maybe the implications haven't been understood by everybody, but the evidence is already there. The research has already been done. Charles Darwin did the research. The first people who just, were discovering that we are neurons did the research. And then people recently, Daniel Kahneman, and, the other people that we've, Dr. Burton, V.S. Ramachandran, they're doing the research. And then at this point, that's when some that had never really spoken up before spoke up. I never realized, because he thinks that maybe I believe I've come up with a new fact. And yeah, that would need to be based on research, of course. Stop, don't be distracted by this, but how could your father ever think that you would claim to have developed something that needed objective research anyway, we're not going to get distracted by that. That was getting distracted. Okay. So he was like, to that, I got a nod and an ah. He said, I've developed a framework. It's not me who discovered that we're neurons. It's not me David Eagleman has been saying before I said it, that we are multiple things. Before I had ever read Daniel Kahneman, we had The Self-Illusion by Bruce Hood. We had all those essays like Mazrin Banaji, whoever else. We had the research about that Gerald Smallberg and also someone else talked about the eye saccades. Because he was like, and then he was like, what's the output? What's the product? Oh, gosh, I shouldn't be explaining everything, because maybe just listen to it. I mean, that's okay. He's like, what's the output? What's the product, though? And it's funny because my dad has lots of different its, and it was funny in the conversation to see two different sort of opposing its take turns. One being super ambitious. Like when he asked me, he said, Daniel Kahneman made a major contribution to economics. Are you going to make like a, well, he didn't finish that, but that's what I heard in my mind, that he was asking me, like, are you going to be a Nobel Prize winner or something? Not impossible, by the way. And I said, no, that's not the goal. I'm developing a way for minds to be able to talk about minds, and a way for minds to be able to get closer to truth with other minds. And that's pretty major. And he didn't have any sort of objections to that, so that was pretty cool. And then, and then at the end, because, he's got an action bias. He's always, one of his very K's is action bias. He's got it. We've got to do something. And if we're not doing something, then we're sleeping. Otherwise, we got to be doing something. And I'm okay with maybe just having, if I contribute anything at all, with it just being certain vocabulary, a certain paradigm, anything. I'm just doing work that could be useful. Whether or not it will be useful, I don't know. And I don't even see it really as my job to make it useful. I mean, like to make it useful in and of itself, but to make it used. Anyway, gosh. And I feel like less of a martyr now. I feel less lonely. I feel, oh gosh, I even used the word consciousness at one point, and I didn't get any big reactions, like bad ones. Wow. Anyway, yeah, and so then he was like, but have you tested like the dialectic technique that you want to invent? I was like, well, I haven't invented it yet. And he was like, yeah, but you could test it. And I was like, I mean, I've just gotten barely the concept here, but yes, I will test it very soon, maybe even this year. Yeah. Well, and I've already started kind of testing analysis. And he said, I think you've got enough knowledge to be able to start. What? He thinks that because we know that he would tell me if he didn't. He's told me when I tried to tell him that I'm working on something important, that I'm absolutely off my rocker. He hasn't seen the value at all. He's been, hey, you gotta get a job, bro. But, oh no, stop. Don't take it any other way than a good way. Look at this. 0% alcohol. How crazy is that? I was so disappointed when he arrived. And we went to the store and I was excited. I had done 2 weeks with only a couple beers. All right. And he had talked about when we were out here in this garden, we'll have a beer and stuff. Awesome. Then we're at the supermarket. He says, I say, did you get beer? He says, no, I don't want to. No, I got to stop drinking. Oh, okay. Well, that sounded bad. He'd be embarrassed to. Sorry, did. No, just that he said he wants to just watch his health more. And not he's got to stop drinking. It's not like he's never had, a problem with it. But not that there's anything wrong with people who've had a problem with it. Anyway, so he had a. So I made some joke in the family chat. And he said, oh man, you're not making it easy. I really do want to just completely cut off consumption. I thought, oh, okay. So when we were at the store today, there's a pack of beer in the cart. and I noticed his hand trembling. No, I'm just joking. Spec a beer in the car. I said, well, what happened? He said, I think I'd like a nice cold beer. So what about a non-alcoholic one? Because I didn't understand that last summer. He was buying sometimes non-alcoholic. I didn't understand the point. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And you know what? It's great. It's fantastic. I think it does give a little bit of a buzz, but maybe I'm also just high on life right now. I don't want to ever speak to my dad again. I am going to die believing that my dad believes that I haven't been fucking around. That I've learned, that I've studied, that I'm asking good questions and coming up with good answers. Oh, right, those two different it's. So one would be like ambitious, and it felt like what I was doing wasn't enough. But then other times he'd be like, because at the beginning of the conversation, this conversation starts a little bit after. All right, so here's the order of things. We stop driving, which you haven't seen yet, I guess. There's a loneliness conversation. He comes in, he goes and lies down. I make a video talking about something that now feels a million miles away. It wasn't that I was talking about, it was actually already positive. I was feeling great because of the Matrix last night, and I was like, I was gonna record a video about sort of affirming that I'm gonna seriously consider. It sounds silly now. That I'm gonna seriously consider committing to living. But I wasn't, something was wrong. And so I was having trouble explaining it. Maybe you already watched, you already watched that. Oh, okay. Anyway. Gosh, you just feel a lot less crazy when your dad, who you knew would be capable of seeing the value in it, doesn't see the value in it. I don't need many people to not feel lonely. Anyway, so I'm not in that space. So I'm not going to say anything about the video you saw. Yeah, pretty exciting. And it that means that the voices of doubt in my head can be that much quieter. Dad didn't tell you you were off your rocker as you explained those things. It's not nothing. It's not nothing. And then also, just by talking about it, I was able to sort of validate it myself. And to talk about it out loud and have someone not say it sounded crazy. Which I appreciate. If it is crazy, I do want to know. And, but if you're telling me that all sounded okay to you, then maybe I can just be comfortable in the next step of applying it. So, pretty good. So, now let me talk to you about something. See, in the video about the Matrix, I was going to I wasn't. But I'm going to say now that I was going to, because I wanted to. I was going to maybe share some quotes from the first 40 minutes of the movie. Some quotes that I liked. Gosh, it feels so silly. I feel like such a fucking silly human. Oh my gosh, I watched the movie and now maybe I want to live. It's not that I want to live, but it's that maybe I can be okay with the things that I know aren't going to change. Maybe I don't have to be such a little tired wimp, and I don't know. And maybe in a week from now I'll say I don't know what I was talking about. This being alive is fucking exhausting. And the exhaustion is a real thing, obviously. But no, I am off my rocker now. I am talking crazy. Because I feel... I can think of maybe one other time when I've sort of felt this way. You know what? No. You know what? I'm about to embarrass myself. I really am. Don't believe a word I am saying. There's something I didn't tell you. So if you're a real one, and if I actually published it, oh no, I think I'm... Oh, you know what? I haven't published it yet, have I? I haven't published it yet. So I'm going to keep the audio in. Okay. Because a couple months ago, I met a nice Mexican woman. And then I've been, been hanging out in this area, hoping that she'll text me. She was my doctor. I went to get my meds. Hoping that she'll text me. She didn't. So then the next month I go in again to get my meds. She isn't there. Darn. That was just about a week ago. Oh, so it wasn't a couple months ago, a week ago or so. And but now I'm sticking around because and we had lunch right next to her place, and it's just a place my dad had found near where we slept, which is the place I'd been sleeping right outside her office. I was joking. Anyway, and I was like, oh man, what if she walks by? It was disgusting, but I also was excited. She didn't walk by. This was yesterday? And then, anyway, now I know I'm going to be staying around this area. I was ready to move on from, okay, I'm going to go maybe somewhere else. And I don't have to spend money on gas. Anyway, I'm going to I'm absolutely mad. I'm mad right now. Absolutely a crazy person. Do not believe anything I say. All right, let me just try to get a sentence together. So, God is good. So, so over the last several months, right, I've never enjoyed being here, okay? Over the last several months, I have enjoyed being here. I mean, on Earth. I have enjoyed it very much. Don't have to worry about the future. And I've just been working fucking hard on my videos and stuff. Because I can just give the present everything. And then in 10 years or whatever, go. So I've had so much peace, so much happiness. And just go for it. Just fucking do the project, whatever. And so, but with that, I've also found peace with, okay, as long as I interact with people every once in a while, I'm okay with not having a partner. So I haven't, the last few months, I haven't really gone on any online dating thing, which I would compulsively do typically if I don't have anyone in my life. And I'm just gonna be a cool hermit, philosopher, martyr dude. That's not bad. And anyway, sorry. Gosh, I can't believe it. Did I put this on YouTube for anybody to see? You're nuts. So anyway, so then today, I had this conversation. So today, I'm about to make a video. I'm about to say to y'all, look, I'm not gonna try to be super healthy and stuff, but I want to document this change in my relationship to the future. again, I don't know whether it's a 12-hour thing. This might be so embarrassing. And I might not even remember, like, who was that guy who made that video. But it felt significant. And it also felt, it was symbolic. Because Matrix is was my favorite movie as a kid. My 3 favorite movies, Matrix, number 1, then Moulin Rouge, number 2, then Where Dreams May Come, number 3. My dog's name is Neo. When I got Neo, it was the first time I learned of a 4th Matrix movie. I thought the guy was full of shit, though, because I thought I had heard stuff before. I don't remember now, but I definitely thought he was full of shit. I went dressed as Neo to school the day after I saw the movie. It's in all leather, in my mom's leather pants. Brought my books in a duffel bag, like when he goes into the building, Had sunglasses. And I've known about the 4th one out for a while, but I don't really remember the 2nd and 3rd. I don't know that I really enjoyed them that much. Number 1 is just, I'm not even sure that I watched them. Number 1, I had it memorized, not all of it, but like the whole interview, the whole police interrogation scene when they shut his mouth. I could do it while it's playing when I was a kid. And I guess I kind of felt distance from the franchise because I wasn't a good fan for the 2nd and 3rd. I wasn't as crazy about them as I was the first. So anyway, so then I was watching, I saw it on Netflix. I started watching it last night. And just felt, wow. Matrix is cool. What they did with this movie is awesome so far. And the message, damn, there's this one quote. I was already going to get my phone to journal about this crazy idea of committing to life. And then when I finally kept my phone, I paused the movie to write in my journal. And the last thing said, or the second to last, I think it was by Naomi. She said, no, it wasn't Naomi. No. It was the new Bugs. It was the new character. Yeah, I think. Yeah. And she says to Neo, she says, when you can't know what's real, it's hard to resist. And I relate a lot to that. I feel like I can't know what's real. I feel like I'm saying all these people believe in all these different things, and they're telling me it's true, and I'm just like, what do I believe in? Anyway, like just the fact that all of my work involves a thing that, if it were true, it should have fucking rocked the world, like what we've learned about the mind and what we are. But here y'all are, not knowing what a bias is, not knowing about your interpreter brain. Y'all don't know about Gazzaniga? Y'all don't know about Kahneman? So you guys are just out here talking, behaving, doing, without the slightest idea of how the doer behavior and talker functions? Y'all are saying things that you believe to be true, and you've never heard of a cognitive error before? What is going on? You're telling me you're reasonable and you literally don't know what a cognitive bias is? How can you be reasonable if you haven't studied the systematic errors of the mind? How would you know when you're doing them? Or do you just believe that you're not a human brain? And, I gotta admit, I've always felt like it's kind of lame when people have said that I've gotten out of the Matrix by living outside and all that stuff. Or, I just thought it was lame. It was just dumb. But, gosh, when I was watching that movie, I did find a lot of comfort. And maybe I was right to think it's lame. But right now, it feels like a good enough metaphor, and it was one that I found comfort in last night. This idea that although I will always be in the Matrix, this idea that I don't know what it was. I don't know my mind. We don't have access to everything that happens. But if I were guessing, I'd say it was like, just seeing people outside the matrix, and that perspective being normalized, which is the whole point of the fucking movie. And I think I was so young. I was like 8 when I saw it as a kid, and I think that's another reason I felt distance from the Matrix, because when I was 8, it was just a cool action movie. And then when I would tell people it was my favorite movie, they would want to talk to me about all this other stuff, and I was like, oh, I don't know about all that. But did you remember when he went like that? It's literally just a coincidence that I kind of rediscovered the message of the Matrix. I had some notion of it. I mean, but I don't know that I'd ever said it out loud or really thought about it. I mean, sure, a little bit, but holy shit, that's my fucking movie. Like, I want to say no wonder that was my favorite movie, but that's not why it was my favorite movie. It's just the guns and the action. It's just the coolest thing I had fucking seen. Moulin Rouge was the songs, and What Dreams May Come was the emotion. So, anywho, so I guess I am talking about the video. So, okay, so yeah, so that just felt normal and okay to be suffering outside of the Matrix. Now, you can never be outside the Matrix, literally speaking. In the metaphor, you can only know that you're in the Matrix, right? You can't unplug yourself from your brain. You are your brain. The brain can't dissolve itself into you and then the rest of the programs, because we are just programs. So, okay. So yeah, so we're programs. And just like in the fourth movie, Morpheus can't leave the Matrix. He's a program. There is no physical body. But we are just programs. There is no metaphysical soul. So it's like walking around in the Matrix and being like, yo, you guys, we're programs. We're not like souls. Like the conscious thing, the self thing, they're all illusions. It's just part of the programming. No. By the way, God is real. No, that's in your programming. It literally says print God is real. That's not why I'm saying it. God is real. God is real. God is real. That's not why I'm saying it. I'm saying it because it's true. No, that's there's another command right there. If need to insist, print, it is the truth. God's just an easy example, because that's one that people can relate to, about how it's like we feel like we're surrounded by crazy people. My other examples are less relatable, but I have a lot of good examples that autistics could relate to. The neurotypical programming. Neurotypicals think they're being all like moral and reasonable, but they're just these super predictable, just weird, just creatures of simple reaction. And I mean, we all are, but I don't know, that just came out of me. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that after my conversation with Dad, I went to go have a follow-up conversation, just be like, yo, Dad, almost sound like you were kind of proud of me. Do you want to just, like, is it true that you believe that? But he was asleep. So I look at my phone. I'm about to record this video. And see, here's how God works. God's patient. God brought me here, or you have no idea. Oh, and that's the video and the audio that I explain how hard it was for me to get my prescription, and that I understood why it was so hard, so that I would meet her and she would give it to me. But he wasn't about to have her text me while I'm out here blissful that it's the final decade of my life. And he wasn't gonna have her text me knowing that I'm out here weeping about his daddy ain't proud of me, and so these projects don't feel real to me because I haven't gotten sort of, you know, someone else telling me I'm not hallucinating and that it makes sense, and so, but I have had my father tell me that I am hallucinating, so he wasn't gonna ever text me then. My brother, I pull my phone up to start recording this here video, and I have a notification. I ignore it from a Spanish number, probably the guy that the Airbnb guy. And then I'm like, oh, that might be important, so I'm gonna go read it before I record this video. Nigga, guess who it was? Guess who it was? So tell me whether or not this was a good response. She said, I was the doctor that you saw in this town. I said, the one I talked to about the weird color of my butt. All right, I'm gonna stop recording now because I want to see if she responded. All right, one more thing for the real ones. I don't know, were we able to fit everything in a... No, definitely not. This driving video? Oh gosh, no, I don't think so. Any case, I was pretty disappointed, as you heard or will hear, to find out that I won't get one-on-one time with my sis when she visits. It's just some things I've want us to connect on for a while. So I found this out. So I was planning to textually march up to her fucking front door and be like, yo, I just found out mom's gonna be here when you're here. So you and I, yes, we're gonna need to talk before, because we're not gonna get a chance to really talk. You know, have one-on-one time when mom's here. So yeah, let's connect, bro. And I sent that in the group chat. And then I go to my conversation with her, and she's responded to my message from yesterday in which I'd said, look, if you want to have this conversation, if you're interested, because you'd have to be interested to keep up with it. If you're gonna be interested, if you want to learn about my work and stuff, then you know, don't tell me. Oh, I see. That's what I said. Don't tell me. Show me. You know, we'll do a call. And so anyway, I go to my conversation with her after having said in the family chat, yeah, we need to talk beforehand. And she said, and I saw in the chat that she said, hey, we can, hey, let's, did she say, I think? I don't remember. But anyway, I'm going to show you over Zoom, she said, basically. Okay, how exciting. Oh my goodness. What a day. No, I didn't. Shit, no, I didn't. Okay.
So right now, it's Echo 29 Charlie, 1911. I've recorded 3 videos there. Okay. I wasn't high on this. I was high on partly, but also since it was happening, a conversation with my dad about my work, and it's sort of expected to avoid any conversation with cognitive bias. It's very nervous. He said, like, I was overloaded, I was overstimulated, what was going on. I had to bite my tongue because he talked about how cognitive biases influence decision making. And yesterday he attributed decision making to consciousness, which he attributes to some kind of quantum event. And I handled it well yesterday. Okay. And today, he said cognitive biases influence decision making rather than cognitive biases are the unreliable elements that constitute decision making. And then the reliable ones we just call being rational. But that's what we're getting wrong. It's not like we're rational and then cognitive biases come in, but you know this. It's that the parts of this machine, some of them could do with an update. Some of them are a little outdated. And the output of the machine would be better if there are a couple corrections. And then other ones, that's what we've got for today, and they produce the output that we expect and a good enough output. Of course, as we evolve, just like a machine, technology evolves, and just like that, our networks and stuff will evolve, and some of the tools will get better. Some of them that are good now are going to not be useful in the future. Some of the ones that are not good now might be useful in the future, so they might be further developed. Some of the ones that are bad now, but in some other world are good, in some other system are good, then those will, good thing we have them already developing. Anyway, and I smoked another one, so. Right, so I was so stressed out I smoked a whole joint. So I am a bit high, because now I'm working on another one. Right. I guess that's all I was going to say. And then another thing is that no, something's fishy, because I'm having trouble even something's weird because I haven't felt compelled to drink. Now, after having this stupid little epiphany or whatever, I don't even, because I was gonna say I'm still, if you feel like I do, I'm not gonna say I did. What is going on? I don't know. No, something weird is going on. A few different weird things. I'm high, so I'm saying a little bit of nonsense. I do feel like I'm a different person right now. I feel like I'm on shrooms right now. That's what I feel like. I feel like I'm on shrooms right now. It feels so weird. Something's happening. I feel a distance from. This isn't tenable. I can't. No. I'm speaking absolute nonsense. Just gonna say, if you, it's really important to me it always has been to be available. Um, I don't think that, I think that a lot of people can want to die for stupid reasons, kind of. Not like, I mean, I'm not, maybe what I am saying is maybe I am thinking of reasons that are stupid to me, but are not to them. But no, I think that the cognitive errors can also contribute to wanting to die. But I very firmly, and it's coming back to me now, believe that not always, um, that it can be okay to, yeah, yeah. But I'm feeling an enormous distance from that right now, and I feel ridiculous. I feel like a fraud. I feel like someone who's just been baptized and is saying, "You guys should go sober." I feel absolutely ridiculous. It feels very strange, and I don't know sort of what's happening or what it'll lead to or how long it'll last. And it could be influenced by the reading about the right brain consciousness, this idea that there's this other experiencing self that I am that isn't connected to words, to the language system, and doesn't abide the same categories that the left brain interpreter does. And to feel that extra space. I love my left brain interpreter. I love me. I think I've done some fantastic things with words. Very proud of my categories. I think that they are useful representations of reality. But to not mistake those representations for reality, the map for the territory, is something that I have understood when on mushrooms. There's this lingering feeling of understanding but it's sort of out of reach. But anyway, but it's there. And that feeling kind of came back. It's like sometimes when I'm not on shrooms, which is all the time, I try to remember what it felt like when I was on it. And just kind of be mindful and also be period, and be without, and be other than, and be only. Something that I like to do, that's what I like to do, something I've done twice in the last week and in my life, not true, also when I was on shrooms, is to try as hard as you can to be aware that this is the only moment. Now, this video that you're watching is of a moment in the past. The past doesn't really exist. This video does. But the past doesn't exist. It isn't something that the concept of the past does. Memories do. Or the concept of the past does in the sense of, that's a good one. Is the concept of the past just a left brain interpreter thing, or is it real? But it's like the preceding causes. I think it's like real, right? I don't know. Anyway, the future certainly isn't real. And there's this weird feeling when I focus on that, on the fact that everything that the only things that are happening are the things that are happening. Okay, that probably sounds so pretentious. I probably sound like such a piece of shit in this video. I really do not recognize myself, but that's good because we're brains that are able to have memories. Things from the past are being represented in our mind, right? In extreme cases, you have PTSD, but everybody has neural activity at given moments throughout the day that relates to past events, to future possibilities, or even things that are seen as future certainties. So there are all these different sort of movies playing, in a sense. All these, programs just running sort of on repeat, these representations. But only some of them are actually real, are actually happening. And what we've been learning from the self illusion and from No Self, No Problem, we're being reminded of that, I guess. And it's such a profound thing. What a pretentious prick. All right, anyway. So, anyway. The idea that the all the things I imagined saying, all the options that have played out as I speak, all the reactions I've imagined, all the reactions of myself in the future I've imagined when I edit this, when I publish it, none of that's real. I'm sitting here holding this phone, feeling like I'm in some weird, it's like a dream, I guess, you know. Where I feel like I'm experiencing a different self. A self that has a different relationship. Right. Because if the self is defined often as sort of about the relationship to others, could this be about the Matrix thing? Wow. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, trying to like get my head out of the clouds here. Because I think I'm saying important, real things. Not as real as these trees. What are these trees though? I mean, it just feels so cheap and shit and stupid. I feel like so positive and stuff. It's already, and then also, right, because your dad didn't, because what's the best way to phrase it to make it as trivial as possible? What, because your dad nodded when you told him about your worldviews and ambitions. That's what you needed. Like, no, definitely not. That wasn't. Anyway, look, a confluence of things. I guess I don't need to justify it. A confluence of things makes me, in this moment, feel this way. And video doesn't need a purpose. Purpose is about the future and gosh, it must be really high. It feels so distant. But no, I mean, on it, part of it is no, I'm speaking nonsense, guys. Like if we used Niebauer's simplification, but I don't know what the actual complexification is. But I do think that this is. I think it's something I would want to correct once I find out what it was simplifying. If we use this simplification, watch what's happening. This weird, or this. I think it's interesting. It's like we can imagine that my left brain has been affected by something, and the Matrix. And I think I really think it is about the movie, because that was such a major thing to me as a kid. I moved away from it, as I explained. And to watch it and connect with it again, and the way that they recreated those scenes, I feel like if I were listening to myself, I would be thinking that all of this is trivial. So don't be mad at me for saying it. Like, I'm right there with you. But I'm still going to say it. Something about that nostalgia, and maybe that's like a right brain thing, I don't know. And my recent mushroom experiences and just things I've been thinking about and my work and stuff. Yeah, because, oh my gosh. Because if the self is a construction of the left brain interpreter and its words, and if I've been processing that in the last 3 weeks, like maybe I hadn't ever before. No, like I never before. That could be significant. I don't think it's crazy. I don't know. Maybe this video isn't trivial. That could be significant. That could be significant. Because what you don't want is for me to be making this stupid video because a girl texted me, and my dad nodded instead of told me no, and my sister's willing to have a conversation with me about the mind. And I reached out to 2 buddies, put my foot down. I was like, I need y'all to reach out to me. And one buddy a couple of days ago on his way to get a pedicure called me. Another one called me before work a few weeks ago. And we got an appointment in 2 days for a phone call. Oh gosh, sounds so pathetic, but no, I'm a human brain. There are certain basic things that a human brain needs. And yeah, and I guess, gosh, maybe it's a question of pride, but I don't want to talk shit right now about me. Because the speaker, it's the left brain interpreter. So it was me who did this, and I don't want to talk shit about me. I wasn't depressed. Let's snap back to reality, because I feel like we're a little bit too. Woo. Number 1, I'll be getting a face tattoo. Done. Decided. I am going to wear a symbol of the fact that I did escape one matrix. I did realize that I didn't, that I could live in the woods, and I did it. I fucking did it. And I did realize that I didn't need to be giving my days to, to someone else's mission, and that I could work on something that I think is important, that I think will be an important contribution. And I'm committing to that. And it's like in the book, The Self-Illusion, he said, even the outsiders, that's the category. That's the group. Even if they're outside the in-group, that's still a group. And yeah, put my name, giving my name to the guy at the door. I guess I'm already fucking inside. I've been living outside 4 years. I guess it's only by imposter syndrome I would think that I'd be out. You know, I'm already fucking inside. Move aside, Edgar. You know me. Yeah. Yeah. No more imposter syndrome. I'm the heiress that came up with it theory, that dedicated his time to it, that is working on tools and techniques that his species can use to dialogue and to study opinions. Yeah. 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 And there's definitely some placebo effect. But yeah, we're feeling good. So that's number one. Number two, yeah, every day I'm looking in the mirror. You're out. You're out. And it's okay that you won't be in. And you're contributing with this outside perspective to something that could be a new in. And you have a name for it, critical recognition. None of that's real. Okay, none of that's real. That mirror, that visual, none of that's real. I'm sitting here in this chair. There's trees, wind. Kind of wish I had my mic. I also am now thinking that that would only add to the pretentiousness. Yeah, that was Eris. See, that's not real. Whoever just said that, that's not real. Eris is right fucking here. But still, I want to hear what you had to say. That was Eris. He moved out into the woods. And he lived in the Raven. And he let God lead him around Europe and through time. And he studied why people talk such nonsense. And he was one of the only people that knew he was talking nonsense. It was just hoping that it was better nonsense than the other nonsense. He knows, he knew that they were going to laugh at him in our time for some of his ideas. But he also hoped that some of his ideas would be taught. And that concludes my biographical presentation on Eris So. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You don't need to do a report about me. It is an interesting story. I'll give you that. He was a character. He was a fucking character. Yeah, he still has to go out in style though. But maybe 10 years isn't enough. Maybe Daddy says that Eris knows enough and has more to develop. Maybe it's true. Eris, what a stupid fucking primate. Look at him. Look at him. What? That's so funny. Humans back then. 12,024. That's what they were like. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, this is what some of us are like. No, It's not a whole lot that are, maybe put a joint in their mouth, get them on shrooms, and just like going, am I full of shit? That was Eris his whole life. But he coached himself. He felt silly doing it. He knew he probably looked pretty stupid doing it. And probably just made himself look even dumber by adding that. Being like the... oh my God. It's like a hole I can't dig myself out of right now. Just laugh at me. Put me in my place, please. So a beautiful day. What's the date? I still say 2024 in this time. I know you guys say one. It's I'm still I'm you know I'm the only one in this time. Well, you know this because you know that I'm the second inventor of it. I'm the only one in this time that uses the Albercal. So today is 2024, Ekber 29, we said, Shadi. Oh my gosh, the 29th, look at that. Look at that, would you look at that, the 29th. I hear you. I hear you. Let's weave a story that let's weave a story that this isn't real, but let's interpret the events as such. And then it was on Ekber 29, Shadi. That he had a nice visit with his father. And he knew that, as trivial as it may seem, human brain is what it is. We can look down on it all we want, but we're just still looking at ourselves. He had a conversation with his dad, where he was able to talk to another breathing human in the flesh about what he was going to do, what he's working on, and that human seemed to not hate it. And yeah, and he was just being a little piece of shit, a lonely loser who didn't realize that all he had to do was tell his friends to be his friends. But that's it. That's what that primate, that's what it's like. Maybe these will be standalone videos. Now let's see whether it wears off first. But on that day, no, but this is the story we can weave. We'll see if we can hold on to it. But we will. Hold on to it, we might. Yeah. Eris stopped talking about all that. He didn't need the piece of suicide. For some reason, and different researchers have said different things. For some reason, the words that came out of his Broca's area that day, for some reason, the image of... But let's imagine the right thing. Because here, we're out here living the life. It's not like I ever have a bad situation. So what do we have to imagine to do a test? Oh yeah, we were listing some things earlier. We're gonna do the face tattoo. The other thing is we're always gonna be lonely. And because we don't even want to expect otherwise, not just because of the disappointment, but also, I'm guessing, we don't want to expect that because, well, one, we think that we really can be okay with it. And two, because then we would just be really, but isn't that the disappointment? What? Left brain interpreter, what are we doing? All right, hold on. I've actually completely lost it now. After I said hold on, it went away. What were we talking about? We were weaving the story of Eris's. It sounds so stupid. Commitment to so stupid. Um, we were weaving that story, and we had like, oh, the lonely. Oh, I'll always be lonely, and and let's say in the present. I don't want to invest in that or think about that. Let's put it that way. Let's not make statements about the future. Um, it will take time for humans to adopt critical recognition. So generations for the human species to go from thinking it's a soul that occupies a body to knowing that it's a bunch of active neuronal connections. That's going to take time. Yeah, no, I still want the option like available to me. No. We're not doing like a commitment. We're just existing in the present, and we're saying, hey, in this moment, when I picture myself living under a bridge, when I picture myself panhandling, when I picture myself stuck in the desert for 3 weeks, and gonna die maybe. No, no, we're not picturing that. We're picturing struggle, not death. Or not struggle, just, I mean, it's not even, I can do it. I've done it, sort of. I can do it. And when we picture that, we're like, yeah, I mean, we were always like, yeah, but we're also like, but we can get bored. But maybe as I explained to my dad the things I want to work on, and I think I haven't been reinvigorated by reading again, and by reading people who are saying what I'm saying, reading research that supports that. And well, you just feel a lot less lonely. And I remember that's what I loved about Thinking Fast and Slow, about reading Michael Shermer. So those are the times I didn't feel lonely. When minds were talking about minds, minds who knew about minds were teaching me about minds and acknowledging all the illusions that I thought I was crazy for noticing. All the patterns of all the ridiculous behaviors and decisions and the things people say and how irrational they are. And I guess that's where the loneliness is. It's obvious probably from anyone who's watched, so I don't really need to do your job of analyzing. Some, obviously, just so, I have something to work with. So, yeah, those don't scare me. I've done 2.5 years in the tent in the woods. I can do anything, bro. I mean, I can live in, well, not anything. I've never lived far away from people where I could do that. I could, I can fucking learn to put some traps down. I can plant vegetables. I can do that. Absolutely. Yeah, because I'm that guy. Yeah, I don't have to fucking be in the Matrix. And I don't have to. Yeah, it was the movie denormalizing the Matrix for me that was like, oh yeah. And now remembering all the people who have like said to me in my life about comments about leaving the Matrix. Yeah. And that guy has a fucking face tattoo. I can see him now. I cannot see Francis Lawrence. How weird to say that. I cannot see. He is not out there. I cannot picture him doing whatever it takes. Yeah, he did the 2.5 years under the name Eris in the woods. It was still the same face. He felt forced outside. He loved being outside. He chose to be outside, but he also felt that ultimately he didn't have a choice. That he needed to be outside. But that didn't feel normal. Didn't feel okay. It did in a lot of ways. It did. Felt very normal in a lot of ways. And it felt weird to think back to having been living in an apartment and going and selling shoes in a store and stuff. And 100 euro shoes, and then having 13 pairs of them. Goes, oh look, I'm only paying 50 euros, and look how cool they look on me. So yeah, that felt strange when outside felt normal, but I guess maybe it was who you were with. Because now that you're on the road, you kind of have a home. You're no longer living in a tent. And you feel like you're doing real things, maybe. You've even been thinking about contacting Bruce Hood. So, what was my point? You contacted Bruce Hood, or you want to contact Bruce Hood. Oh, yeah. So, you were thinking about society again. You were imagining actually having a following on YouTube of, disseminating the ideas in real time, working on them in real time with other people. And I guess you were reminded of sort of, yeah, but if I had gotten my PhD, I was in the system. Yeah, because remember when you were at that cafe today and you were looking at those people working in the cafe? What'd you feel? I don't know. I don't remember. I know that now you're feeling and want to say to the video something like, you hope, you like to hope that someone leading a normal life where they go and do something to get money, and they're not interested in being on the front page of the newspaper or whatever, when they don't feel that, you hope that they don't feel what I guess you must feel, even though you would never, well, I, the left brain interpreter, would never admit it. I guess we kind of course, it'd be natural with our upbringing, to feel that those are the people not doing something, not succeeding. And we're totally against that idea. But I guess one of us, of course, probably has been. I guess that probably is one of us still. Because it's almost like you look at them like, good for you. You didn't get swept up in all the nonsense about trying to become a millionaire or the best or and all that, and that working in a cafe is just a temporary job. Good for you for, being 40 there and that being okay. Even as you're saying it now, I hear that one guy who's being a piece of shit laughing. But no, we're trying, most of us are trying to be serious. But I guess it's like you could never do that. You would be comparing yourself to certain expectations and stuff. Anyway, I used the word normal. I meant normal according to, the normal definition. But of course, we are trying to remember to normalize being outside of the matrix as well. And that it's not a sort of like I've been relegated to the vestibule or I've relegated myself to the fucking, I don't know, to the backyard, to the garden. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good out here. Weather's beautiful. I don't need to be in that house, but I am thinking that that's the reference point inside the house. But The Matrix flipped that on its head, the movie, obviously. I mean, I'm just saying anything that anybody who's watched The Matrix knows, but I'm sort of discovering it, sort of, or, connecting it, or, livering it just more than I have. The real world. Being out in the real world. And he was committed to that. And I see him. I see Eris. That question mark next to his eye. Because he took the time to wonder. While his peers in third grade were exclaiming, affirming, he was confused. He affirmed but felt confusion about his own affirmations. And he learned about the thinking process, or sort of the basics of it, I guess, or something. He learned about when he discovered the illusion of consciousness and free will all by himself, and self, the ego myth. He discovered that. He did. He gave a conference, or he gave a presentation where he talked about the three components of the mind: the objectives, the instinct, and the self. And then realized, wait a minute. It's all automatic. It's all programs. There's no all-knowing, supervising intervener. Sure, there are some programs that supervise other programs and can engage those other programs, but there isn't a... He discovered that. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And this is nonsense. I'm sitting here holding a phone. This is real life right now. 2024 is the only thing existing right now. I mean, stars, they're seeing another year, but they're not seeing what's real. They're not seeing right now. Or not stars, you know what I mean? Planets. You know what I mean? Life. Anyway, this is the only thing that's real. And I've never really suffered. I've been frustrated and felt lonely, but I've always been fine. I've always been good. I've always been afraid of feeling like this forever, maybe. But I've always been pretty good for now. Okay, bar a few moments. Yeah, no, there were a few moments where I had no idea what was going on. Like right before I got diagnosed with OCD. Very confused about what was happening in my mind. Very, very confused. And then other times when I was very confused by other people's minds. By what they were saying about my mind. Very confused. Had nothing to grab onto. I mean, tried to grab onto the research, but was always more compelled by testimony. By individual affirmations and confidence. But what's real is this moment in fucking science. And fucking science says there is no soul. You are the activity of neurons. And your impressions of reason and correct interpretation, those are illusions. And you have work to do in order to compensate enough for those errors that you're going to make, for those illusions. Or to just do better at least, and never be able to be reasonable. But if you define reasonable as the best treatment of information for good goals, then we can be reasonable, we can be rational, Steven Pinker. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Egbert 29 Charlie. Shadi. Eris doesn't dread the future. Even, look, Eris is imagining right now. He's going to look at his phone to see whether the doctor responded. And there's no response. Oh. Okay. We'll check a few more times this evening. He'll remind himself that, because he also feels that. And this is what's real, not whatever he imagined with the doctor. And also, the doctor's not gonna break free of the matrix. The doctor's probably Catholic. So, let's get real, boy. And so he didn't get a response. She didn't love the butt joke. And she took it seriously. And that's okay. And that's how the mind works. She now has an image of you having a weird color. She doesn't even know what color. But you put that in her mind, and that might be the last thing of you that goes in. That's okay. Even, yeah, it's fine. What else? My dad wakes up from his nap. But I've been thinking, Eris, what's the point of coming up with a way to explain research that's already been done? It's already been done. And that's what they're working on. The professors in the universities, they're working on disseminating that to the public. What could you bring that they couldn't? I don't know. And maybe it's not even valuable to talk about. I'm just doing my thing. Maybe. Another possible response I've got for you, Pop, is that I might be super smart. He laughs. All right, Ayers, you gotta watch that. Oh, that doesn't feel good. No, Dad, I think it's okay if I am super smart. I'm not saying that I know everything. I'm not saying that that everything that comes out of here is worth more than everything that comes out of someone else's mouth. Now, if we're being totally honest, am I saying that like the value per idea? I won't say the value per word. I talk a lot. But will I say the value per response is higher? Yes, that's kind of what I mean by I think that I'm pretty smart. Yeah, Eris, Eris, that's you can't. I don't think that's the right way to look at things. But say it were true. Say it were true. Say it were true that I were smart. Would it be okay to look at it that way then? To, again, not to ignore, to dismiss, but also, yes, with limited time to know, to be able to dismiss. Would that be okay if I were smart and working on something and people were not getting it and I had reason to therefore be skeptical of it, that I could then dismiss my skepticism of myself based on they're not getting it, attribute it instead to they're not being smart enough, as long as I don't insult them. But as long as, I mean, what I mean is, it's not a judgment of them. No, what I'm trying to say, Dad, is like, it's not about that. All right. I think that different humans have different cognitive capacities. And I'm wondering if someone had a very good capacity and was working on developing ideas to contribute, to his species, would it be okay if he thought that his ideas were better than other people's? Like, if he needed to believe that in order to focus on those ideas, would it be okay? Again, let's imagine he's pathologically skeptical of himself, and so, if some researcher, says, hey, this experiment indicates no, well, he's going to be Bayesian about it. He's not going to just throw everything out the window, but is he going to take it seriously? Imagine he's just compulsively skeptical of himself. Just never feels like he's standing on solid ground. He won't miss that. I mean, and if he does, is that okay? Is it okay if he doesn't find the truth? If he, with his intelligence, just works on something? And if it contributes to the discovery of truth, maybe or maybe not, is it okay if he just just adds to the wealth of material, adds to the options? Gosh, son, you've got such a way with words. But hold on. Do I just have a way with words, or am I saying something of value here? And if I am, and someone doesn't see that value, and even if I can't know whether I am, is it okay to estimate my abilities as higher than some's, and some's? I think it is, right? I think that's obvious, right? It may not feel obvious in my case, but if we took any example of anybody who contributed, whose contribution is talked about, what we would tell that person, oh, hey, good thing you kept working on that, right? Good thing you trusted yourself at least a bit, right? Yeah, that's true, son. That's true. What do you want to eat for dinner? Tell me more about what you're thinking after your nap. No, I said it. That's it. What do you want to eat? Go on, Dad. Do you think it's worthwhile? Well, it's up to you, son. Do you think it's worthwhile? If you think it's worthwhile, then do it. I'm not gonna stop you. Yeah, yeah. No, yeah. Even with that, gosh, no, that's taken away some of the surety, the sureness of ground I was feeling. No. All right, we're anticipating that possibility right now, and hey, this is the real world. Your dad not getting it? Okay. Maybe you did get it. Maybe you were the one who was wrong and who was missing it. Okay. Okay. You couldn't see anything else to do. You couldn't see that it was wrong. So what are you gonna do? Just stop? Just do nothing? No. You just have to continue. Because if you reimagine it from from the non-existent future, it's possible that someone will be glad that you did. And if nothing else, it'll be an example for someone who is onto something. Eros was talking absolute nonsense about that it theory, but there was someone that was inspired by that. Moved out into the woods and just committed to his thing, because he learned from Eros that even if it turns out to be nothing, if it's all you can do, then okay. That's cool. That's cool. That's all you can do anyway. Seems true to me. The material is why things seem true to us and how unreliable that is. So if anybody's gonna, avoid going down the wrong track, it would have been Eris. Unless he's completely delusional. And his dad did say he was off his rocker. Oh, you haven't heard? Actually, his dad nodded and said, well, I think you know enough now to start applying it. Have you guys been there the whole time? It tastes really gross once it's warmed up. I think I feel absolutely wasted. Yeah. So, here's one we didn't think of. What if we can't buy hash? Okay. That's one we didn't think of. Because our normal programming, there's a lot of anxiety involved. And maybe we'll learn stuff to adjust to it. And yes, there's meditation and stuff. But that's not what this program's outputting right now. This program's outputting work right now. And he's got a good system in place with the hash. And he's got a great system in place now with this. Now he knows about the beauty of non-alcoholic beer. Because it tastes like beer. So doesn't quite, but it does also. Don't be trivial, Eris. I'm sorry, Eris, but I think we're turning over a new leaf here. No, I mean, no. Obviously we're keeping our options open, and also we're still gonna continue to behave, to exist as we are now. Just a couple minor changes. No more whiskey. Okay, let's not be extreme. That was silly. We've gotten carried away. We're gonna moderate the drinking because we're not going to accelerate the leaving. We're not gonna stop smoking. Don't worry about that. You don't have to do the meditation thing. You can smoke to your lungs' content. Not really. You have to actually smoke just what you need to be okay. And you're gonna get a face tat. I know. Yeah. Yep. And you're gonna remember the feeling of commitment to you believe in you. You've made choices to, and they're gonna, when they write about you, people are gonna think you knew what you were doing. People are gonna think that, and then had fed up, so he went out to the woods and he started working on the mind, thinking about the mind. And then he got that camper, started engaging with people, doing street interviews, and reading more, blah blah. And he just was focused on his thing, and when everybody else was telling him he was crazy, just didn't affect him. That's how they're gonna tell the story. Literally, no matter what the actual thing is, that's the only story that's going to be told. So it might as well be true. You know what I mean? It might as well be true. He didn't care. They already say that about you. They say he didn't care about what other people thought of him or anything. Might as well be true. He was so confident. Might as well be true. Because even if you're wrong, even if you're absolutely delusional, or you just greatly overestimate the value of anything you've come up with, the work, people will be generous. The work sort of speaks for itself. It was about catching errors, and about humility and stuff. I think people will be generous and say, even though everything he said was bullshit, he knew that it might be bullshit. Because, look, it's all about humility. You know what? Maybe they'll say he thought everybody else in the world was wrong and he was right. And he had this crazy delusion about being brains. And, I don't think he is wrong. I think we might be brains. I think it's actually a pretty fucking crazy idea to think we'd be anything else. And I think that makes sense, that a lot of people would believe something fucking crazy because they're brains. And my dog does goofy stuff too. And just because they have words doesn't mean they aren't goofy. But anyway, even if they say, oh, he was so arrogant, and he was like, fuck the system, you guys are all so stupid, and so then he went and just like lived off his parents, but like in the woods, and just like smoked hash all the time, and just like chilled and like stalked women, because he like met this woman in Amsterdam, and he was on his way possibly to Ibiza. But then once he met her, and he knew she was from Ibiza, he actually did go to Ibiza, and he actually did ask people, "Hey, you would happen to know this person?" So that's true, Aerith. And it was just from one to the next, wasn't it? Like 3 weeks later, then there's a doctor, and you're like, "All right, I'm gonna hang out in this area in case you text me." Yeah, even if they say that, others are gonna say, "Oh, he was a primate. He was just a cute little human. He didn't do anything." It's okay. It's okay, isn't it? By the way, I don't know that I've updated you. So when I left, I put something on Facebook. Does anybody know this person? And then her cousin contacted me. And then she contacted me. She said, "Hey, it's me from Amsterdam. How are the interviews going?" I said, "Oh my gosh, I have questions for you. First, what is this, your name on Facebook?" She didn't respond. I said, "Yo, in Espanol, I want to do an interview with you." She didn't respond. Okay. 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 Literally everything's okay. And that's what we've gotten out of the whole "I'm gonna go in 10 years." We don't have to keep saying that. What we've gotten out of it is the future isn't real. And we're just gonna be. And we're not gonna be convinced otherwise. We're not gonna be convinced otherwise. We're just gonna be. And yes, it's gonna be problematic because you're not really allowed to just be. It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be problematic. It's gonna be part of the story. Right now, you're just sitting here. And you're just gonna fucking be, bro. And maybe the tobacco will get you. Maybe a risk will get you. So you can still, you don't have to think of it as being stuck here forever. The forever isn't real. The future isn't real. But you're here now. And that's all you can promise. And so we're promising that, yeah. I'm here now. And it just literally doesn't matter, the future. Just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. That's what I think everybody who is stuck should do. Go to the real world. If you have kids, okay, it's kind of shitty, but if you're gonna kill yourself, okay, leave your family. Go out in the real world. I haven't done it really done it yet. But all those things that you felt stuck in, you felt like you couldn't be, you couldn't hold that pose any longer. Realize those things don't have to be real. And you can strike any pose you want. You can lie down under a bridge. You can, it's like not a big deal. Sometimes you'll be hungry. You'll probably find food. If you're watching this, I doubt that you're gonna literally starve to death. Now, you don't want to be a burden on other people, and I get that. So okay. If you go out there and you're just not able to feed yourself, well, what you've learned from that is that you need the system. And that'll be okay, but we're not there yet. Go out, see whether you can try, little by little. I don't like that I imagining talking to a father of kids. But then I remind myself this father was going to kill himself. So anyway, but let's talk to young people. If you're looking at all that stuff you're about to get stuck in, you can go get stuck in it. There are a lot of advantages to it. You need to have your options, though, and have just known what another perspective was like. So go do that. Pretend the world